Long ago, AKAPADers, you get a lot of value when you went to the movie theater. You would get cartoons, news stories, advertisements, and serials. Episodic adventures. Mostly in the form of some heroic male, in this case. It's the 1944 Captain America. But the more you went to the theater, the more you could follow some of these adventures. You would get them for Captain Marvel, Flash Gordon. The list goes on. Some of the greatest imaginary characters, some of the greatest characters of all time, were portrayed in movie serials. The Captain America 1944 one was one of the most expensive ones ever made at the time. Its star, Dick Purcell, died shortly after this got released. People will attack this series because Captain America's alter ego is not Steve Rogers, nor does he have a shield. But we got something to talk about because there's a template here that does get applied to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is a new discovery. It's a little bit of how my head exploded in slow motion as I watched these episodes. We also have, episode 1, The Purple Death, and you guys know how much I love the Purple Man, the Daredevil villain. Also perfectly portrayed in Jessica Jones, the Netflix series. So let's talk about it. We're continuing our Captain America coverage. We're getting into the first time he was portrayed in live action. It's highly significant.
Quiet on the set!
Camera speed, sound production, take 1.
Action!
So who? Bring them to me. Who's talking about this serial? Because I go on YouTube and I go on Facebook and X. I don't even call it Twitter anymore. That's how cool I am. I go to all these other things, and everyone's talking about Captain America, Brave New World. They're talking about Chris Evans, and there's Chris Evans leaks, and there's Chris Evans leaks when it comes to Avengers Doomsday. They're saying he's going to be the Hydra Captain America, which is the biggest joke that Marvel ever did. I'll brief you guys on that real quick. Marvel, in continuity, and they have yet to reverse it, by the way, Captain America was a sleeper Hydra agent almost the entire time. A lot of the current Captain America that you see in the comic is an alternate timeline Captain America. So Captain America proper is a Hydra agent, and the great minds of the Marvel Cinematic Universe feel like they have to use that in to some capacity. It's madness to me, but it just seems like we're a little bit in an age where this stuff, just because you can watch it on YouTube for free, I believe some of the rights might this could be public domain. I don't even know. You can watch this serial on YouTube. I implore that you do, because you see nothing but big ideas. Awesome cliffhangers. I'm talking cliffhangers about robotic trucks that are robots driving into buildings and fires. Some really good fire in this too, by the way, AKAPADers. But what we'll get though is, as a byline, a lot of these quote unquote historians or people who never care to explore and experience the history of these characters the way that I love to, by the way, the way that I'm obsessed over, and that what separates the Film Buff podcast to everything else that's out there, period. And I said period, so that means it's 100% true. It's just a little shocking to me, AKAPADers, because we want to know what's inside of these. We should know what's in the guts of these stories. Captain America is tracking something down, and he's a adventure guy, and he just happens to wear a costume. There's not a lot of references to the supersoldier serum. Now, at the time within the comics, Captain America got the supersoldier serum to create a perfect male. He wasn't he wasn't as superpowered as he is now. I always think about that scene. It might have been in Winter Soldier where he's just like nearly shirtless and he's holding a helicopter down. That is a modern day phenom for the character. Captain America always was the guy that did things perfectly, without mistake. Sure, he was big and muscular and fast, but he really wasn't superpowered. Now he is, and I'm fine with that. I think it makes way more sense that the super soldier serum creates a little bit more of a the super in the super soldier. So we don't get these like references. We don't get these things. We don't even get a shield. We don't even get boots. So I watched all these episodes on YouTube, and at the end they had the special features, which must have been part of a VHS set or a DVD set. So episode 16 of this YouTube playlist were these special features, which is at the time it was like it's essentially a slideshow. But they said and they showed you the pictures. There's test footage of Captain America with the boots and the shield. Okay, so like you see this and you're like, okay, like they knew they had the source material, but they chose not to. And the idea, and this lays right into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the way how they evolved Captain America's uniform from movie to movie, from Avengers film to Avengers film, where he essentially became Nomad, the man, the one without a country, where the star on his chest, and he didn't wear the mask a lot, but he was a little bit like a Ronin, which is also in cue to the comics. He did become Nomad in the comics for almost the same reason that he does in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But they wanted him to have meek beginnings. They wanted to have a starting point for the uniform and to eventually get somewhere. That blew my mind, that they had foresight to build the audience into the features of the costume. You kind of want to say, even now, they do that with the Batman movies, where like every single movie there's like a new function, there's a little bit new of a like a new feature, or something new, and in the larger way too. The Ben Affleck Batman vs Superman, the Superman Buster armor is kind of a extension of how we know Bruce Wayne thinks from the Christopher Nolan movies. Like we're able to make that leap relatively easy and also have something new at the same time. Very intelligent for Zack Snyder to include that. Who knows where it really came from? We know a lot of people touch movies. But yeah, AKA Padders, episode to episode, this is wild. This is a lot of fun. People will say it's not Captain America or it's loosely based. I feel 4 years after the character premieres in the comics, they made a lot of smart choices. I feel Captain America is a great introduction. This is a great commercial or infomercial or piece of content to get people into reading the comic books and give them full knowledge of what could be inside the books. Could you imagine? And comic books really weren't this major source of entertainment too for children. Like the kids read them, but it wasn't until the 60s that it truly caught on. But just imagine being a kid, you watch this, and then you kind of, a couple years go by, like 10 years go by, and Marvel brings them back because originally Captain America didn't sell well, and they Goldman, right, or Goodman, the publisher for Marvel, the guy that came up with the name Marvel Comics, he's like, we gotta get rid of this. And then Stan Lee had the idea to bring him back, and we have the ice. They find him in ice, and Captain America's in the modern world. I just love the idea that someone saw this, and then eventually you pick up the Avengers or a Marvel comic, and you're like, man, like what the things that they do with Captain America, it's crazy. Like this was not in that cereal, and you're almost like happy and grateful for it because you can appreciate the contrast. I don't know, AKA Padders. Dick Purcell is awesome in this. I think the hook and the episodic nature is a ton of fun. Dare I say this is very comic book because it's episodic in nature. I feel it was a little bit of a blueprint to a lot of the stuff we saw in the Marvel Cinematic Universe when you dissect it, when you look at it. And it's available on YouTube. Go check it out.
Okay, that's a wrap.